businesses like retailers and service providers, like your local, I don't know, your local haircutting place or your local restaurant. Can we provide any relief there? Can we do anything for creators who make a living on Instagram? Can we do anything around donations? So these things would take weeks and not days to do, but we are spending a bunch of time there. And then also trying to figure out on the mental health side, because there's a physical health risk here, there's a huge economic risk, but this is really taxing for a lot of people in a really significant way. And so is there anything we can do in that space as well, given that we're not mental health experts, is another area. So we'll see. We'll see how the next couple of weeks evolve.
Is there like a thing you can do online to just get rid of all negative information? Is there like a filter we could tag on Instagram where we say, hey, we just we don't want to see or hear anything negative? Is that a possibility?
That's not quite there, but you can block certain words in your comments, which is pretty valuable for certain people. But no, that's not nearly as ambitious as what you're talking about.
Yeah.
We're thinking more along the lines of getting people emotional support, again, making sure they can have a network to lean on if they're in times of crisis.
What does that mean when you say that? Because one thing that I've always talked a lot about is I've heard stories of depression. I've talked about how hard it can be to cope with anxiety or depression. How during times like this, one of the hardest things is to not maintain contact with the people you normally do. What is
Absolutely.
Instagram doing to help with that? Because on the one hand, with Instagram, as you guys have always said, you have to balance the world of making people go crazy because they're spending too much time on Instagram, but now people have to spend more time on these platforms to connect with people. So how are you helping people maintain their mental health?
Well, a few different things. I think the most important thing is just helping people connect with their loved ones that they really care about. If you're separated, I mean, my brother lives in LA, my sister lives in Berlin. I'm really close to both of them. I use Instagram to stay in touch with them. But beyond that, we're seeing other things happen. We're seeing mental health experts like therapists and psychologists use Instagram to connect with their patients. Lizzo has done a bunch of meditations with the flute and the whole crazy thing, going live on Instagram. So we're seeing a lot of this happen organically, which is great. So we just want to know, when possible, can we amplify that kind of thing?
Right. Are you doing anything? Because I feel like everyone asks the head of companies what their companies are doing. Are you okay at home? What are you doing? Are you doing any of the challenges? Are you doing a push-up challenge?
I should do the push-up challenge. I haven't done that yet, actually. I think someone challenged me recently. I've got two little boys and another on the way. So for me personally, it's been mostly about how do I take care of them.
Wow.
Um,
How old are they?
4. Nico's 4 and Blaze is 2. And then the other one is what is it, April yet? It's almost April, so May. So it's gonna be born in the middle of all of this.
How do you explain to your 4-year-old why you can't leave the house and live your normal life?
It's tough. I've tried. I explained that he doesn't understand the word disease. So there's like a sickness that's spreading around, and it happens, usually when people sneeze and that sort of thing. And so we want to stay clear just to be safe for a while. He really, he's got a lot of energy though, so he's going to explode pretty soon.
Right.
But I think there's a lot of parents out there, particularly if you're working right now and you have little kids and you don't have any childcare, you're moonlighting your job, you're trying to call in the meetings during the day, and you're trying to be a parent and homeschool. It's just wild.
Right.
But also, if you're single and you live in a tiny little apartment in New York where things are pretty rough right now and you're incredibly isolated, that's also really brutal. So everyone's dealing with their own challenges.
I've got some questions from the community that are really interesting. And remember, guys, this is Trevor Noah here, host of the Daily Show. I'm chatting to Adam Mosseri here, who is the head of Instagram. So if you have any questions for any of us, just send them through, and I'll ask them. I've got a few that I've pulled up here from the people. Does Instagram connect users to local opportunities if they want to volunteer or donate? Is there any part of the platform that helps you find these opportunities?
There are some, and we're trying to build more. So right now, you can raise money for nonprofits through the donation sticker and stories. So we have as of last week, a section dedicated to COVID-19 related health organizations. And we're actually matching up to $10 million for the United Nations Foundation, the World Health Organization, and the CDC.
Right.
But what we are interested in is what more can we do? How can we help connect the community that uses Instagram to the small businesses that are going to be suffering, in such an intense way? or to the creators that they love on the platform, or to their local shops or restaurants. And so that's one of the things we're actively currently exploring. Because look, at the end of the day, the government can help at a scale that no private company can, and I think they're moving to try and do so. But you can provisioning a bunch of capital is one thing, distributing it is another, and so we're hoping that we can help, if we can, bridge a little bit, because it's going to be really tough on all the local businesses that all of us know and love.
Here's a big question that's coming through from a lot of people in the community, and it's around false information that would be on Instagram. It's really hard because on the one hand, you have some people who are joking and clearly joking about ways to cure coronavirus, or they're talking about, this is like creating a meme, or they're messing around. And then you have other people who are purposefully trying to misinform the public about what they can do about coronavirus. How is Instagram figuring out, first of all, which of the comments are detrimental, and what are you doing about this?
So with figuring out what issues or what claims or what comments are detrimental, we're working with organizations like the World Health Organization to identify dangerous false claims. And then we use people, but also technology to try and go and fan out and find all of the examples of those claims. But we rely heavily on experts. I think the piece of context that's worth flagging real quick is that generally we tend to be very worried about putting a chilling effect on speech. We try to be a place where people can express themselves and tell their stories. And so we've taken a lot of criticism over the years for being too lenient. When it comes to COVID-19 and misinformation that specifically creates health risks, we are being actually the opposite. We're being quite conservative. We're taking it off Instagram entirely. And so we want to be clear that we care a lot about expression. We care about speech in general, but these are extenuating circumstances and under which we're going to act differently because I think the world needs it.
All right, I got a question here for both of us, and that is from Ignite String Theory. Hey, Trevor and Adam, how do you think our world will look after the coronavirus has passed?
Do you go first? Want me to go first?
You can go first. I want to hear your answer.
I think you're going to see a number of broad shifts that have already started accelerate, right? So you're seeing people move more and more shopping online. You're seeing people video chat and do this type of thing more and more. I think that you're going to see like 3 years of these sort of shifts happen in 3 months.
Right.
And some of it will snap back, but it won't snap back all of the way. But I also think it's going to be a while. Like even after all of these, each local lockdown or shelter in place opens up, I don't think people are going to immediately go out and party. I think it's going to be, people are going to be careful about large gatherings for a period of time. One interesting question is like, if it goes on for a really long time, do people still shake hands? Like, I don't know. There's all sorts of crazy ideas you can imagine.
Right.
But I think that's the psychological impact is going to be significant. You meet my great grandma lived through the Great Depression. I'm not comparing this recession to the Great Depression. That was much longer, but she was 96 when she passed, and she still couldn't spend money. So you can imagine certain effects, but concerns about health or concerns about economics or money might last a long time, depending on how long this lasts. I don't know.
Yeah, I feel like whenever someone asks me, what do I think the world will be like after coronavirus, I think the question I first pose back to them is, how long do you think coronavirus will last? Because I think if we went back to our normal lives in a week, I don't think the world would change. We would all come out of it like it was like a forced mini vacation, weird moments in time. And I think people would be more brazen than ever. There would be certain hubris because everyone would be like, oh, we survived, it wasn't a thing. I think if it goes for a really long time and we start to see the effects economically and physically, if you start seeing huge numbers of people dying, if you start seeing a ton of people not being able to afford food, I think we're gonna reach a tipping point where society then decides what's more important: staying indoors or going out and getting food, working or not working, etc. And it's going to be hard. It's going to be interesting to see how governments manage that period. And then I think after that, whatever they've done in that period determines what we live like afterwards. I mean, I've already seen just from surveys and from polls that have been conducted, people's perspectives on certain issues are changing. For instance, now people care more about medicine and what access they have to healthcare. Now people are thinking differently about their healthcare premiums and universal healthcare. It's a completely different conversation right now. Even just job security. There are countries around the world where people have protection. The government says if you're unemployed, we'll find a way to keep you, eating and living until you get another job. A lot of countries don't have that, and so I think, to what you're saying, as much as business is going to change, I think politics is going to change depending on how long this coronavirus threat goes for. Because if it goes for long enough, people are just going to want to make sure that we're never in the same situation ever again. Because you see countries like the UK where they said they'll pay, a percentage of people's salaries for the duration of this crisis, and they understand that the economy is going to take a knock, but they're going to figure it out. So the question is, how long does it last determines how much it'll change the world, is what I think.
Makes sense. And I think you're going to see, I mean, unemployment is spiking in a huge way in any country that's been affected so far. And I think those effect, like if people stay unemployed for a long period of time, that also will change a lot of how people think. We're seeing record levels here in the U.S. already, and we're only a couple of weeks into taking it seriously. So it's going to be pretty. It's going to look. We're going to remember this year, and we're going to talk about it for a long time.
Right. I got two interesting questions. First quick one that just came up was, why are you in a closet?
I'm in my garage.
Oh.
So I'm lucky and privileged enough to have a garage, so I can go when I'm working and hide from my children. And them an update on, because we're trying to take care of them too. And Monica had the garage, my wife, and so the kids just ran in, and I was like, and they got in a fight because there's two boys, and I had to try and play referee. It was,
that's what you need.
You don't want to see it. You don't want to see it.
And then the other question was really interesting. If I just scroll back to it, it was, what are your opinions on the fact that this is actually good for the planet? That we as society are taking a break from polluting, from whether it be our cars, our emissions from factories, etc. What are your opinions on that idea?
I don't know. I haven't thought about that enough to have a good opinion on it. I will say I think climate change is one of the most, if not the most important long-term challenge we face. So it's an area that I care a lot about, but I have not thought about how specifically this pandemic will affect our work there. I think that could cut either way, honestly. We'll see. Actually, depending on how long it lasts, the longer it lasts, the longer the economy's hurt. Maybe people care about climate less, or maybe they care more about health and they care about climate more. You could see that one going either way.
Right. Let me ask you a crazy question. Could Instagram create a feature where people who are gathered together who shouldn't be together, their accounts get blocked, if they're not social distancing? Can you do that?
I don't know if we can know who's supposed to be together and not be together, but yeah, theoretically you could try and build something.
Right now, right? We're not supposed to be in the same place unless you live with people, or those are the people you've been incubated with.
Right, exactly.
So my question is, can Instagram shut down people's accounts until they separate? Is that a thing you can do?
Technically, we could try. I don't think, for a bunch of detail reasons that aren't that interesting, I don't think we'd be that good at it. So we'd do it to people who didn't deserve it, and not do it to people who did, probably too often.
People who live in the same apartment building, their phones might just get cut off.
Yeah, if you're in the city and you're all in the same building, you're doing good because you're on floor 10 and I'm on floor 20, but we're like, nope, you're now blocked. It might be kind of rough. Okay.
There's some fun questions that are coming through from people online, and they're saying, yeah, I guess this is a question that I can ask to Instagram, etc. Is, can you help people find toilet paper? Is there a way that Instagram can help with this?
If there was, I would take advantage of it myself. My wife is really anxious about the amount of toilet paper we have in our house. No, we're seeing other things happen, not toilet paper finding, but one of the restaurants in my neighborhood is posting pictures of what they're having for takeout every day, and then you can call and you can go pick it up without going into the space. And so we're seeing all sorts of really interesting use cases bubble up. But toilet paper isn't one that I have found yet. But if you've got a connection, just comment here.
This is one of those moments where you could create something amazing here. You create a feature on Instagram where we can all tag toilet paper for each other.
Just a tab dedicated to toilet paper.
So we just need a toilet paper tab on Instagram. So
you can imagine the icon. It's gonna
toilet.
look just a nice little outline. It's gonna be perfect.
Just a little thing. Someone did make a good. Someone had a good comment. They said we can just use water. That's true. If you have a bidet, I mean, this is not a problem in your world, you
Yeah.
know. So that makes a lot of sense. Um, Adam, I mean, everyone is out there. Well, in there, I should say, trapped indoors, living their lives. As a human being, two questions: how has this affected you the most as a human being before business, and also, what do you miss most about normal life?
As a human being, I mean, I don't know if this is. I don't know if I can distill it down to one thing. I mean, the thing that I'm most trying to figure out is how do I support my family
Mm-hmm.
and support and do my job well, given that my job has gotten much more intense, as you can imagine, and my family situation with a wife who's like 8-ish months pregnant, maybe 7.5, is intense. So that's just weighing both of those things at the same time is a lot. But I don't think I know how it's affected me yet. I think I'll know once we get through it. Right now, it's about adrenaline and working and being smart and spending time. I just do two things. I'm here in the garage working, and I'm in there in the house with the family.
Right.
So I don't know yet. And then what do I miss most? I just miss seeing people I care about and love in person. It's just, I don't know. I'm a hugger, and like I can't hug right now.
Yeah.
And so I miss whether it's like really close family or friends. I miss that a lot. What do you miss the most?
What do I miss the most?
Mm-hmm.
I would be lying to you if I said I missed anything. I mean, I don't like the tension in the world. I don't like how many people are being affected by this um, physically and emotionally. But for me personally, I'll never lie to you and say that my life has changed, even in the slightest. I stay home. I don't like hugging people. I don't like hands. I don't like getting close to people physically. Like I've always been this person. Even when they were like showing people how to wash their hands, I was like, wait, how were people washing their hands? So, so yeah, like there was like people were like, you left out your thumbs. I was like, how do you wash your hands without doing your thumbs? I don't know. I don't know. All I know is for me personally, I won't lie and say that my life has changed all too dramatically. I stay at home the way I always did, man. I'm online. I make my show from home. I
Which is amazing, by the way.
video games, and now I have an excuse to not go out and see people. Because people always stress me out. They always be like, "Why don't you come outside? It's so sunny. It's such a beautiful day. You're wasting the day." Now, I'm like coronavirus, baby. I can't go anywhere because
You've got your go-to excuse.
yeah, it's become my life. So I feel like there's a lot of introverts who are enjoying just that aspect of coronavirus. So I wish we could have this without any of the negative economic effects or anybody's health being affected. In fact, after coronavirus, I'm going to stay indoors and I'll tell people I'm doing it in case of coronavirus
Yeah, yeah.
forever going forward in the future.
Yeah, yeah. You're just careful. Just really careful now.
That,
There could be another one.
yeah,
You never know.
all right, well, Adam, I know that's all the time you got, man. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thanks for having me.
Instagram, and tell the people to make my followers go up. I think that'll help with coronavirus.
2 requests. Follow Trevor, because that'll definitely help out with the coronavirus. And 2, stay home. Use the stay home sticker, or just tell your friends to stay home, wash your hands, do the whole thing. Sneeze into a tissue.
That's right. Stay home, people. Thank you so much for doing.
Peace.
Thanks for tuning in, everybody. Thanks for joining us. Thank you to 9gag for letting me take over their account. I don't know why you would trust me with such a thing, because now I can do anything. I can just stop. I can strip right now. I can be nude. No one can stop me. I can just be naked right now, and then now what happens? Now Instagram, now it's just crazy. Now it's coronavirus and nudity. And then what? And then you can't even arrest me because there's social distancing. So I can just do whatever I want. But thank you so much to everyone for watching this. Stay home. Stay away from people. It's going to be hard. Yes, we'll pray for Iran and we'll pray for the whole world because we don't know what's going to happen. Good luck out there, people. Thanks so much for tuning in. See you next time.